But this is a different Colorado. This is not the same roster. This is filled of transfer portals that has been led by Deon Sanders. This is a new face for Colorado, University of Colorado. I'm taking a plus 20.5.
Sanders off his back foot, caught, first down and more down the sideline. Stop and start Edwards. Touchdown, Colorado.
So if you're going to tell me, oh, NC State's going to go to UConn and they're going to blow them away, I'm going to tell you right now, be careful. Don't pick NC State in this game if you think they're going to blow them out.
Oh, Rosa is in. Touchdown.
Yeah, Utah's going to win this close one at home.
Action on first down to Barnes. Looking downfield. Takes his shot. Watches for money. Barnes. Who catches it and stride. What a start for Barnes in the offense. 70 yards on the opening play.
Like a 70-21 kind of game.
Woo. But I'm taking Washington to the 14.5 because it's at Washington. They're going to take care of business. I am predicting they're going to win at least 3 touchdowns.
Oh, my God. Down the sideline. Catch and run touchdown.
If you like the week 1 highlight reel, then I'm going to tell you up for another treat for week 2 of the college football season. That's right. Subscribe. Tell everyone this is all 4 downs.
Welcome to All 4 Downs podcast. I am Joe Aguiar. Ovi Muniz will join me in just a moment. So Colorado is back. LSU, not so much. Week 1 in college football saw the Pac-12 go 13-0. We'll have to talk about that. Clemson, Florida, and Florida State, I can tell you this, will not be playing for a national title. We'll have all that and more coming up in first down. Second down, Obi's got his updated his top 25. And then in third down, we'll help you put some cash in your pocket. We nailed some of these games last week. We'll do it again. And in my final whistle, I'm tearing into prime time, and Brian Kelly will also be catching my wrath. Welcome to the show, OV. We did well. Not as well as the Pac-12, but we did well.
I love your introduction, man. I really do. Oh, wow. It's fire. It's fire.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I wrote that 45
I
seconds
laugh
ago.
because I know how you feel about prime time and about Brian Kelly, because we go Brian Kelly from last season, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he went and left Notre Dame to go to LSU. And, of course, he's starting out the right way, the wrong way, just like last year. You lose to Florida State, and you lose them again, this time at Florida. So, an embarrassing, but a lot more games were, upsets. We'll talk about Fresno State won against Purdue. We could also talk about last night. Duke defeated Clemson.
Oh, Duke
manhandled.
good.
And the thing is, Duke made a lot of mistakes that they could have scored a lot more, right? But they did something that LSU couldn't do. They could score in the red zone.
By the way, DJ Uwangalele
For Oregon State.
Outstanding in Oregon State's huge win. He looked phenomenal. I'll tell you this. Don't sleep on that Oregon State team because I don't know. They looked scary. And you know what was the most impressive thing? Their offensive line. Their offensive line looked NFL caliber.
Mm,
And that's a scary notion because when that kid's got some time back there, oh boy.
yeah. But in defense, this was just week one. It's just week one. It's just one game. The thing is, can they maintain it? That's the key. I was talking to another host of All Four Downs, Hector, about Notre Dame. Yeah, they played two scrubs, but the thing is, it's not about playing low-level schools. The thing is, are they executing? Are they making things happen? Are they following their plays? Are they making mistakes? No, they're catching the balls. Let's make a difference here. LSU dropping balls. There's a lot of teams that should have won big but kept making mistakes. USC dropping balls, penalties. Talk about discipline. Notre Dame's another one that I predict that should finish undefeated this year. I know they play Ohio State at the end of this month. They also play USC, but it's the way, the formula, getting Sam Hartman in there, okay? Brilliant. That was the key to success because this guy could throw. He is accurate. They have the ingredient to go all the way. But
yeah, listen, you know what? And I agree with what you're saying
Mhm.
there. And you know what? Kudos to the teams that went out and played. In a lot of these are in-state rivals. It's a smaller state school versus, Alabama. It's not a good look for those small schools. They get paid nice to go get beat up. But I think you're right. You're looking for, does your offense execute? Is your defense executing? You should be able to do it against these low-level teams. That said, why is Syracuse not in the top 25?
Okay.
I mean,
I will answer that and
that's a
during our
good
top
listen.
25.
Yeah, I hope you do because look, that's a good-looking team. A holdover.
What about Oregon?
quarterback, took
Oregon
care of
scored
Bill.
81 points. You mean to tell me? Come on, they're
They-
ready. Bo
They
Nix?
did. They
Yes.
did. They look real good. That was, yeah.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
Now, is
But
that a
that's
statement
what you're
because it's the
supposed
last
to
year of
do.
Pac-12?
Yeah, listen, but that's what you're supposed to do when you go play these schools. You're supposed to put up 60, 70, 80 points. That's what you should be doing. Kudos to the teams that did it.
Right.
And, not so much for Purdue.
Gotta stop you there. But listen, let's talk about the Pac-12 because this is the last year of the Pac-12. Who knows what can happen between now and the end of the season if they could get more teams, but it's just not going to be the same, right? All these schools are going to different conferences starting next season, right? And you look at this, and again, the media was focused on a few caliber players in college football to see who's going to win the next Heisman, right? And the news of the Pac-12 falling down. George Kilovkov, whatever his name is, he did a terrible job. Okay, he did. He didn't supersede the previous commissioner, which helped build the Pac-12. And yet I can understand the spending in San Francisco and everything else. But you mean to tell me that you couldn't come up with a TV deal? And I'm going to tell you why. Here it is. And I got this Brian Kelly look. This is my look when I look at the caliber quarterbacks that are in the Pac-12. And I'm going to start with Bo Nix, who was a transfer from Auburn, dominant. I mean, he is pursuing to lead Oregon to lead the Pac-12. You just mentioned him, DJ Ugalele, Oregon State, transfer from Clemson. You got Ben Finley, a transfer from NC State, played very well with California. Then you got Deon Sanders, yes, from Jackson State, okay, or is it Jacksonville State? Sorry if I got that screwed up. All right, now he's playing for Colorado. Follow his father's footsteps. Over 500-yard passing. Michael Penix Jr., second year with Washington. He is a transfer from Indiana. You got Washington State quarterback Cameron Ward, who came from Incarnate Word. Fabulous job that he did. Okay. And of course, the Heisman winner who is trying to go back-to-back since the 70s, Caleb Williams from Oklahoma. I mean, come on. All these quarterbacks that you got, and you mean to tell me that you could have come up with a TV deal, you could have come up ways to keep your conference intact. That is embarrassing.
It's a good slate of quarterbacks right there. And interestingly enough, quite a few of them are SEC rejects, which begs the question, are these guys not good enough for the SEC, or did they need time to develop? and they would be dominating in the SEC right now if they had stayed there. Who knows, but these guys have done themselves well. And you're right. I think the Pac-12's got maybe the best quarterbacks in the country.
Absolutely.
Top to bottom. That's yeah. I don't look
You
the
look,
games.
you look at
Games
Georgia
a little bit late. I would stay up for that.
Yeah, you Georgia got a new quarterback of Beck, which
So
again,
does Bama.
Bama got a new quarterback, which they got 3 potentials, and Nick Saban could actually have 3 rotate through the game. Okay. But
yeah, that works.
You're right. It's like everybody else is so flat that the only thing you talk about now is the Pac-12. And yet this is the last season before everything goes chaotic next season. I don't know. All right, let's talk about second down real quick. And these are the top 5 quarterbacks this week. We had Jordan Travis, Florida State, 23-31, 342 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he threw an interception, but that didn't matter. He handled his business to beat LSU. Michael Penix threw over 400 yards. Mikey Keene threw over 300 yards, 31 for 44, 4 touchdown passes. Emory Jones did it very well. And, of course, dead center, Deon Sanders, 38 for 47, 510 yards, 4 touchdowns. And I got to say, man, Colorado, I felt like that game was a playoff scenario between them and TCU. Now, I got reminded, it was like, yeah, you know what? TCU lost a lot of players to the NFL and everything else. They even lost the offensive coordinator because he went over to Clemson. And, of course, the players didn't play up to the highest potential, but it's a work in progress, right? TCU was a Cinderella team. Why would you give them 21-point favorites to beat Colorado to a team that nobody even knew? They didn't know the roster. You got full of transfer portals, okay? And yet you're giving them 21 points. You don't even know them. And then Colorado goes and wins. Good for them.
Well, again, you and I agreed 21 points was insane because, look, Colorado was going to either be good or terrible.
Or terrible. There was no in between.
There was no real way to know what was going to happen, but it was hard to assume they were going to be great. I don't think anybody expected Deon Sanders to go off and have a record-setting kind of day, but great.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't think the transfer portal was designed to rehaul your roster like it's Madden. I don't think you're supposed
is that what you do, the cheat code and be like,
of course,
he was at 65, let me make him 99.
Yeah, that's what everybody does. You take over your Madden franchise, the first thing you do is you trade off starters you don't like, older guys. Next thing you know, you
override it.
Yeah, you got Buda Baker and Jalen Ramsey on opposite ends. I get it. I mean, we all do it. Yeah, you're a shrewd GM. And the league, of course, would trade all its best players to one team. Nobody would see that coming in real life. I don't think this was and this seems to be what Nick Saban was warning us about, what the transfer portal could turn into.
But he's doing the same thing. That's what I don't understand.
No. Look, swapping a couple guys out and grabbing a couple guys you missed recruiting on a year or two ago is one thing. Rehauling 95% of your roster through the transfer portal, I think, makes a mockery of what the idea of the transfer portal was.
But again, you said it before.
It's not like Deon Sanders has turned around a team that was 1-11. This is not the same Colorado team from a year ago. So he gets no kudos for turning around a 1-win team.
But he gets
kudos for it. And again, to beat
recruiting.
a TCU team that they played for the national championship. How many guys are left? How many starters are left from the national championship? That's all I'm saying. Kudos to Colorado. Kudos to Deon Sanders. It's great to get your first win of the books. Deon Sanders, is trying to find a pathway to the NFL, and his dad's doing his best to get him there. Kudos on all those things. all those things.
So let me ask you this: do you think
But
that
not on the
once?
transfer portal nonsense. I didn't like that.
But this goes back to what you're telling me since we started this podcast a few years ago. The NCAA has sat on their asses,
Yeah.
did nothing,
Correct.
and this is the product that you get.
Yeah.
It is. It's Deon Sanders' fault. No, he took advantage of the system
Because
that
he can.
hasn't been fixed, right? And he did what he had to do, and he's not afraid to say it up front. And a lot of people are offended because, yeah, he talks too much. Yeah, listen? If you got
Obi.
Deon Sanders in your team, of course he's going to have a voice for everything.
Obi, without getting political, I'll just
Mhm.
say people who do whatever they want and think they can do whatever they want on a whim are not people I'm a fan of.
Understandable.
I think Deon Sanders is one of the greatest athletes of all time. He's definitely, if you had one cornerback to lock down a receiver to win $1 billion, that's got to be your pick. You're an idiot if you pick anybody else. Straight up. He did a great job. He did a great job at Jacksonville State.
He did.
Learning how to become a coach. Kudos to him on that. And all the talk about the HBCU, mate, kudos to him on all that. You know where I'm going with this.
I know. I'm just waiting
later,
to
but again,
lay it out there.
This is a guy who's very much about me. He's about prime time. He's about him and his son. And whoever's along for the ride is you couldn't ask for a better scenario. I just wonder when the kid leaves the school, why is he staying there? There might be better money somewhere else. SEC might be
ain't that the reason? I mean, listen, I had the same question. I believe that once his son goes off to the NFL, so is Deon Sanders leaving Colorado. And for Colorado, they're okay with that because since he's come aboard, they sold out so many tickets. They're making money off of Deon just for making his presence there. And with this win, you know they're going to Boulder, Colorado. They're going to host Nebraska, a sellout crowd. It's going to be phenomenal for the state of Colorado.
I would love
for
to
the university.
Deon Sanders go off and coach in the NFL. I think he could go coach for a team like the Chiefs. I think that would fit his persona. That would fit his legacy. But this guy in a locker room with 19 and 20-year-old kids, telling them to bask in the glory of a win, take receipts. I'm sorry. What is that mentality, OV? Are you teaching that to your kids at school? Take receipts, bask in the glory. No one's going to tell us what to do. Hi, welcome to society where everyone tells you what to do. This guy is trying to teach a group of 90 people to live like you're all prime time. You're not. None of you are. What are you talking about? This is utter nonsense. He sounds stupid every time he has one of these press conferences like it's 28-year-old Deon Sanders all over again. Grow up, dude. I mean, diabetes took 2 toes from you already, dude. Get it together. Get it together. Do you want to be an actual college football coach, an NFL coach, or are you just doing this to make sure your kid gets in the NFL? I don't know where he's at right now. But I what he's saying in the media, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
When I didn't understand the whole situation when the reporter asked him a question, he was like, "Oh, I know who you are. Do you believe? Believe what?" And he was like, you see, you don't believe. And when he meant by saying catching receipts or cashing in receipts, excuse me, ever since he left is it Jacksonville State? Yeah, it's Jacksonville State. Okay. He was getting bashed, not only by the media, but even the people around Jacksonville State. Nobody respected him leaving. And he's done so much for that organization. Okay. He saw an opportunity. maybe beneficial for his son. Maybe. Okay. However, how would you feel? You're getting bashed and bashed and bashed. Everyone talking smack behind your back, telling you you're not going to succeed. You can't do this. You can't do that. But then here you are. You're coaching. You win your first game. And I feel like if I put myself in Deon Sanders' shoes, I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to talk shit. I'm going to get on the mic. I'm going to say what I say because you guys made it that way.
You gotta, there's an expression, and I'm sure Deon, who didn't give up a lot of touchdowns in his career, I'm sure anytime someone spiked a ball in his face, his response would be, act like you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And to Deon Sanders, I say, act like you've been there. Because I think you're the way you're behaving right now is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The university doesn't care if he leaves in a year. What do they care? They got everything they needed out of this, and they're gonna win the boot. So yay, Colorado.
Just go back to what Deon Sanders said. It's all about the win. It doesn't matter.
That's the problem, and
any coach will tell you.
But that's wrong.
But every coach does that, though.
Listen, let me tell you something. College football used to be about teaching young men how to prepare for the next level of life, NFL or otherwise. And then we saw it really become all about the wins, and we started paying kids under the table, and now we're paying them over the table. And now it's not about wins. Nobody cares about wins. They care about two things: money.
It's always money.
And bowl money.
Yeah.
So the wins you only need 6 wins. I mean, what a joke. 6 wins and I can go get some of that bowl money. Yeah. That's what it's all about, Ovi. It's not about
you're absolutely right.
Anymore. Can you imagine Joe Paterno? Imagine Joe Paterno in 86 being like, guys, take receipts. Of course not. That's not.
I don't think that's part of his vocabulary, but okay.
No, of course it wasn't. Of course it wasn't. You know what else was in his vocabulary? Sandusky, hands off.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, man.
If he could do it all
we could go on and on and on about Deon and Colorado and everything else, but the bottom line
I'm a Colorado fan. Did you know this?
You're a what?
Bro, I've been using Colorado on NCAA as long as it's been a game. I love the Buffaloes.
But they used to be good back in the days.
Oh, I will talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about some more stuff here. Ready? All right, here we go, man, because we need to talk about the top 25. And I know that the AP and the coaches poll came out there, but this is my top 25. And I feel like this makes more sense, but a lot of people will say, now what are you talking about? So real quick, I'm just going to say it up front. I'll start from 21 to 25. Clemson, Utah, Oregon State, Washington, and Kansas State. Listen, I know they all had good games, but it all matters on week 2. Okay? Week 2. Can they do the same thing? Can they perform and replicate and do better in week 2? And if so, then the Pac-12 is going to go rise up. All right? I got you. Okay? Now, this is based on, like I said, preseason, based on recruitment, based on the transfer portals and everything else. Bam. Oregon State is first on my top 25. Clemson goes down because of their loss. So sad for them. So sad. But I'm not sleeping on Kansas State. Do not sleep on Kansas State. I'm telling you that right now. As a matter of fact,
I know you.
I might just pick them to win the Big 12. I don't know. But we'll see. 16-20, Duke, Colorado, Auburn, Ole Miss, and North Carolina. Mad respect to Duke. They handled the business over Clemson. Man, I'm proud of them boys because they fought from start to finish. Colorado, I had them already in the top 25. That's not news to me. But for everybody else, oh my God, let's put Colorado in the top 25. Should have done your homework. Sad that the media didn't understand that part. All right, moving on to 11 to 15. I had USC at number 2. Fooled me. They fooled me. They didn't execute, drop passes. They can't penetrate in the red zone. Man, From 2, they fall to number 11. USC, Tennessee, Penn State, Miami. Listen, USC does not have any defense, so I don't care what they say. They already voted that USC is going to the college football playoffs. I'm not sold. And guess what? USC is not the best team in the Pac-12. I'm just telling you that right now. 6-10, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Texas. I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest difference maker is this weekend when Texas goes against Alabama. And I'm going to tell you, the hype is there, right? Don't believe the hype. This is all I'm saying. Believe this. Notre Dame climbing up to the charts. They got their formula. Everyone's sleeping on them. Yeah, Ohio State. Top 5, get out of here. After what happened this weekend, they don't even deserve to be talked about in the college football playoffs. And here we go. Georgia, Alabama, Florida State, Michigan, Oregon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. I did this. Yes. Oregon, number 5. Hey, they might pass Michigan this weekend, depending on how they play, right? Michigan, Florida State, congratulations. They handled their business. They shut down LSU, and they did it a lot better than last year. So don't fall asleep on them. Who knows? There's rumors out there they might make it to the college football playoffs. Guess what? I already got them there. And then Alabama and Georgia, well, you already know how I feel about those two teams. They're always competitive. They're already ready. One of them's gonna remain top 4. The other one, not so much. And that is my top 25.
I told you LSU didn't belong in the top 10. I did tell you that.
Yeah, you did. Fooled me.
You did well otherwise, and I feel like you're pretty locked in. I feel like you have a pretty good sense of things. You fell for the LSU thing pretty hard. Obviously,
well, they ended the season very well. I mean, they bounced back and played. They played in the SEC championship. Yeah, they fell short of Georgia, but everybody else fell short of Georgia. Yeah. So I thought, with all the starters returning back, that they built that momentum, but Florida State was just better. And you know what? Talk about conferences. We talk about the Pac-12, 13-0. They did a good job, but SEC did not do so well this weekend. None whatsoever. So let's see if Alabama could make some noise against Texas, which a lot of people predict Texas to win the Big 12 for some odd reason. But I just don't think the hype is there. I know, like, everyone's talking about last season, what happened in week 2. This is going to be different, and this is at Alabama. Just saying. Watch your money.
Yeah.
Just watch that money. That's all I got to say. Are you ready for some picks?
I'm ready for some money.
Here we go. Listen, we did so well last week, and yes, I did bet on DraftKings and Sugar House, won both, but the only games that I lost was Clemson. Man, they ruined it for me. Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a 21-point lead. Then I would have gone for Duke. But Clemson just, man, they hurt me, man. But anyways, one game doesn't hurt me all the way. But let's start with Notre Dame versus North Carolina State. I saw last week North Carolina State versus UConn. North Carolina State is weak in the running defense, okay? They don't know how to guard in the middle. Victor Rosa was running all over him. He ran a 70-yard touchdown that resulted in a penalty because he wanted to do a excessive celebration that probably cost the game for UConn Huskies because UConn could have won, okay? And they were like, who's UConn? Yeah, that's right. The state of Connecticut has a football team, and they could have won against NC State. But that's a different story. Now they go against Notre Dame, a total package. You will pick Notre Dame 7.5. They will win. Yes. Forget the over-under. Pick Notre Dame 7.5. They're going to win by 20 points.
Oh, I was just going to say this a 20-pointer. This is a 34-14. I think you take the under on this, too, if you want to get wild.
I tell you what, the only weapon that North Carolina State has is Brennan Armstrong because when he can't throw, he's running. Close in that pocket all day for Notre Dame. I'm just saying right there. Moving on. Ole Miss versus Tulane. I'm taking Ole Miss with the 7 points. Ole Miss, the last time they met was 61-21. Yeah. Lane Kiffin. Dude, week 2, this is solid for Ole Miss. They're always the first half.
These two teams haven't both been ranked since 1956. Not crazy. I think
Yeah.
Tulane extends the SEC's misery. I'm going to take Tulane and the 7 points.
Wow, you pick it Tulane.
Yeah, I think Tulane's going to actually win the game.
Okay.
So I'll definitely take that 7, yeah.
Duly noted. All right, Texas A&M versus Miami. This is a great game. These two are trying to bounce back. Jimbo Fisher had a terrible year last year. Mario Cristobal is his second season. Of course, he's 6-7 with Miami. But hey, I'm telling you what, I'm not even gonna bother with who I'm picking for this. I am taking the under 49 points for the Aggies and the Hurricanes in this game. It's safe. I'm just throwing it safe right there.
I think this will be a close one. I think Miami might even win it on a field goal. So I'm going to take A&M in the 4 points.
Fair enough. All right. And is that Miami? So is it an upset if it's at home? No, I don't think so. I don't think none of the two are ranked anyway. So it is what it is. I mean, I have Texas A&M ranked, but I just feel like defense, I think it's a low score game. Talking about low score game, these two teams have a habit of having low score games.
I thought 4 was the over-under. That's the point spread. My bad.
What are you talking? The 3-0 game. There you go.
You never
Iowa
know.
and Iowa State, both 1-0. But I'm taking Iowa and then the 4 points. I like Cade McNamara. You know, he's a transfer from Michigan. Rocco Bex, I think he's a sophomore. I'm not sure. I think he's a young buck, but I'll go for experience on this one. I'm taking McNamara.
I'm also going to take Iowa in this one, and only because of the Cade McNamara factor.
Fair enough. All right, Tulsa versus Washington. I circled 34 points. That's huge against a team like Tulsa. Okay, this is the first meet in history. I don't know what to expect out of this. Tulsa's always a good team. You know, those you could tell that this is a 1 week Cinderella, the other week, not so much. And yeah, Washington won big, but you know what happens when teams win big? They just don't do so well in the second week. They could win, but I think 34 points is too big of a lead for Washington. I'm taking Tulsa plus 34.
I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to cover this. I do. I think it's going to be like a 49-10 game. I think he's going to cover it. Okay. He looked great last week. There's no reason to think he won't go out there at home and drop some bombs. I like it. Living dangerous.
Appalachian State versus North Carolina. I'm taking the over in this game, over 61. I love both of these guys, both teams. They can make that offense. Drake May, man, he's a Heisman candidate. The last 2 times they played, both games were within 3 points, but it was a high-score game. North Carolina leads the series 2-1, but I'm taking over 61.
I'm taking App State and the 18. Are you serious?
I'm taking over 61.
Oh, I think Appalachian probably pulls the upset. They'll keep it within 18. They win games like this.
But this is at North Carolina.
I don't care.
All right, Tar Heels, man, they hardcore when it comes at home. SMU versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma won big last week with Dylan Gabriel, a senior. He's a transfer from UCF a few years ago, going against a sophomore like Preston Stone. I'm taking the under a 70.5. I don't think that the points will add up to not near 70 when it comes to these two. Sorry, I just don't buy it.
I will take OU covering 16.5.
All right, Texas Longhorn versus Alabama. This is the game of the week. 7:00 p.m. on ESPN. Yeah. What's going to happen here? The last time they played in Tuscaloosa was in 1902. Can you believe that? 1902?
Wow.
Texas won 10-0.
Dodging them. That's pretty smart.
No, not really, because they played all their games in Texas. That's why.
Still.
They were like, no, we're not going to Alabama. No way. But in 2022, yes, Texas is 0-4 versus the top 25. Here we are. Texas is in the top 25, is going against a team that's higher ranking than them. And the last time Alabama lost at home was in 2019 against LSU. I'm taking Alabama. And I'm taking the 7 points.
I'll take Bama. I think
All
Bama
right.
wins this game. Yeah, I think that's a given. Texas isn't going to win a big game like this, unfortunately.
Well, they better figure it out because next year they starting off the season with the SEC.
Yeah, that bad move for them. I got to tell you, it's just with all this realignment, I don't think a lot of these schools are really I mean, they're looking at the broadcast money because if they're looking at the competition, it's like, ooh,
brutal.
I don't know about that.
Brutal. They might want to realign it again.
Yeah. Well, not for nothing. Think about Syracuse. Syracuse is a great example of a school that dominated the Big East, right? In basketball, more often than not, they did well in football. You go to the ACC and you're terrible at both of those things now.
Yeah, they're just gone.
It's not good.
Not good at all.
Making a little more money, but geez.
Wisconsin versus Washington State. Now, this is a good game to watch. I'm going for the home team. I'm going for Washington. I'm going for the upset. It's just something about Wisconsin, man. I don't know. I just can't figure it out. This is the first season for Luke Fickell, but Jake Dicker, it's been there for a while. And the way they played last week compared to Wisconsin, I think the advantage goes to Washington State.
I think Wisconsin gets it done.
Yeah. Are you taking the spread or are you taking over under?
I'm taking the spread.
All right. Fair enough. I like it. All right. Illinois versus Kansas. Kansas bounce back season. They did well last year. I know they were dealing with injuries, but remember these two coaches, Lance, I think I'm saying this right, Lance Leopold and Brett Bielema, right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Both of these two coaches took over the organization from the previous coaches that were so terrible that they had their organization tank. And that was Lovie Smith for Illinois and Les Miles for Kansas. And you remember when they took over, they could barely even win a game. They looked like UConn Huskies for like 5 years, okay? These guys turned the program around in mad respect to both of these coaches. But other than that, one team has to win. And I'm taking the home team. I'm taking Kansas 3.5.
I'm taking Kansas 3.5.
All right.
I like Kansas a lot.
I guess. Sure. You can like them all you want. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, sure. Anyhow, that concludes our picks. And that was 4th down, leading into the final whistle. And yeah, I'm going to stay away from this, but I am interested to hear the closing of your remarks on not only just what we talked about primetime, but also your other favorite in LSU.
You know it.
Take it away.
Thanks, Ovi. Congratulations to Colorado on a huge win. I've been a secret Buffaloes fan since the days of Cordell Stewart, Rashawn Salam, and Ted Johnson back in the mid-90s. But Coach Deon Sanders had to make it all about him. Even though his son set a single-game passing record in his debut, it was all about Deon and his haters. How dare anyone question prime time? This is what the Hall of Famer is teaching his players. Take receipts. The world is against us. No, Deon, I got bad news for you, buddy. The world's against you. Deon recently distanced himself from Florida State because Deon can say and do whatever he wants. Like when he said his crackhead cousin Junebug was a better athlete than Bo Jackson. He told his players to bask in this big win. And going forward, if they just ball out, we'll win. Brilliant coaching strategy. It's the reason Deon can walk away from the HBCU and say he's doing them a favor. Or why he took advantage of the transfer portal in a way no one had even conceived of. Or why he doesn't have captains, he's got leaders and dogs. You know, the only coach trying to distance himself from Florida State more than Deon Sanders is Brian Kelly, another bad guy who's got no business leading young men. Winning games has become more important in college football than having a man who could teach humility and the life lessons for adulthood. We live in a different time, I guess. Prime time. That's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching. For Ovi Muniz, I'm Joe Aguiar. We'll catch you next week for All Four Downs.